and the keys to your home.
The time by NHT is
8 o'clock.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Come and tell me what is bothering you, Krishna. Come on.
If Mummy wins tomorrow's competition, then she will leave and take me away.
I won't allow that.
So the court gives the order that from today, Krishna's legal guardian will be her father, Mr. Sagar Chaturvedi.
I don't want to hear Ganga's name again as long as I live.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
The country's Energy Minister Daryl Vaz has made the bold declaration that the Holness administration will not renew the JPS All-Ireland electricity license under the terms of the existing contract. The message to the JPS is, if you want to maintain your status as Jamaica's go-to company for the transmission and generation of electricity, then a new deal will have to have new elements and it will look markedly different from the arrangement that we've been tied under for 20 years or so. The Energy Minister, Daryl Vaz, stops by to expand on his announcement. We'll also hear later on the show from the opposition spokesman on energy, the former Portfolio Minister, Philip Powell. It's Lead Story Prime on this Tuesday. A joint statement by the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, and the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica has described the opportunity by the announcement, coming out of the announcement by the minister, as a once-in-a-lifetime thing. They say it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to set the provision and the supply of energy right, because given the current high energy prices and the history of Jamaican producers and manufacturers being faced with high energy prices, something has to change, and they are welcoming the announcement by the energy minister that the government has every intention of changing it. But just what did the energy minister say when he convened that press conference and starred at Jamaica House earlier on this Tuesday? Curlin Brown has the answer for you.
I wrote the Jamaica Public Service Company and gave formal notice of the government's intention upon expiration of the current all-island license not to renew under existing terms. My letter to the JPS was written pursuant to condition 27 of the license, which provides the government of Jamaica to acquire the licensed business at the expiration of the terms of the license. That expiration date is July 8th, 2027.
Donning his Jamaican collar tie, the Energy Minister Darrell Vaz then turned the...
So the technical devils grabbed the audio and mangled it, and so we have to cut that insert short. But what we're going to do, we're going to pick up with the Energy Minister in short order, and as I said, later in the show, after we're done with speaking with Darrell Vaz, we'll hear from Philip Paulwell. This is Lead Story Prime.
Delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Rise with sunrise, Mighty takes July by storm. We begin with some sweet gospel melodies in Wednesday service. John Mark Wigan joins us live. Then it's over to the kitchen for a sweet mix. We're taking a break with some summer mocktails. We'll pair your mocktail with a good read in Sunrise Book Club. And your Wednesday fun wraps up in Wags, brought to you by TruePet. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this. Rise with sunrise, Mighty takes July by storm. We begin with some sweet gospel melodies in Wednesday service. John Mark Wigan joins us live. Then it's over to the kitchen for a sweet mix. We're taking a break with some summer mocktails. We'll pair...
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Come and tell me what is bothering you, Krishna. Come on.
If Mummy wins tomorrow's competition, then she will leave and take me away.
I won't allow that.
So the court gives the order that from today, Krishna's legal guardian will be her father, Mr. Sagar Chaturvedi.
I don't want to hear Ganga's name again as long as I live.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
I wrote the Jamaica Public Service Company and gave formal notice of the government's intention upon expiration of the current all-island license not to renew under existing terms. My letter to the JPS was written pursuant to condition 27 of the license, which provides the government of Jamaica to acquire the licensed business at the expiration of the terms of the license. That expiration date is July 8th, 2027.
Donning his Jamaican collar tie, the Energy Minister Darrell Vaz then turned the spotlight on the specifics, implicating the opposition for delivering a blow. So why would the government refuse the right to acquire the licensed business upon expiration in accordance with the condition, based on some sparks flying that the JPS has been too much of a monopoly?
Our country will recall in 2001, the former People's National Party administration and government entered into an all-island licensing arrangement with the JPS. Subsequently, the same administration further entered into a binding agreement to amend provisions of the 20-year-old license. I think we can all agree that the people of Jamaica have not been served well by the existing electricity supply arrangements. The terms and conditions under the current license has yielded electricity prices which are amongst the highest in the region. The arrangements in relation to the license is deeply flawed and in need of significant reform.
In the context of significant reduction globally in the cost of renewables, he argues consumers should be placed in the best position to benefit from such developments.
An alternative would have been to attempt to renegotiate existing license on its current terms, which would risk maintaining the flawed status quo entered in by the former administration and put Jamaica at a distinct disadvantage. The government of Jamaica does not believe pursuing such a path is either appropriate or viable at this time.
Minister Vang says the plan is to use the time to implement holistic changes. Reforming the energy sector is a must, he adds, as there's a need for a modern and efficient power system capable of affording low energy bill and low electricity prices to households and businesses.
Even as we are determined to negotiate a more reasonable licensing arrangement, an agreement which serves our country well, the government of Jamaica is open to exploring expression of interest from all parties which may be desirous of acquiring new license, including the current licensee.
Of note, JPS is not exempt from the negotiations in what the minister terms a fundamental shift. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
Thank you, Curlin. We have the Minister of Energy, Daryl Vaz. I have the Minister of Energy, Daryl Vaz, joining me on Lead Story this evening via Zoom. Good evening, Minister.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Right.
Viewers, I should say.
Viewer, yes. You're used to saying listeners, yeah? So it's viewers.
Yeah.
Minister, here's where I want to start. Since you came over to this portfolio, of course, you're the man sent to various ministries to fix things in those ministries. You were sent to transport and have several other ministries under your portfolio. How soon after taking your seat in the ministry did you have the idea that today's announcement was where you'd ultimately end up in terms of the JPS situation and the contract for supply that the company has?
All right, it's a good point to start on. So these dates of July 8th, 2025 and July 8th, 2027 were stipulated as timelines in the license that JPS currently has. So the bottom line is that we knew when the expiry of the license was and what needed to be done prior to that. So we have been planning and we have been consulting and getting the right team to be able to guide us in relation to the evaluation of the license and our options. Our options are very simple. Try and renegotiate the existing license, which makes no sense because the fact of the matter is the government will be going in at a distinct disadvantage based on the current terms of the license. And outside of that, the option that we took, which is basically to indicate to them that we're not prepared to renew the license in 2027, and if necessary, if we can't come to an agreement and an understanding, then we'll have to exercise the clause which says we have to buy them out.
Minister,
the license and all that goes with it.
Yes.
Sorry, the assets.
The assets, right, because that's of course what the license as outlined in the Gazette actually says.
Right.
Here's the thing though. What is it about the environment in which Jamaica is operating in current day that puts this government in the position to take as bold a step as has not been available to previous governments?
All right, so let's take that in steps. First and foremost, this is the first time that a JLP administration has got the opportunity to start from scratch and have the opportunity while in government to negotiate a new license. Okay? So that is something that we cannot take lightly, and we have an obligation and a responsibility to the people of Jamaica to make sure that we negotiate the best deal possible, which means that the only option that would give us a level playing field and leverage would be the option that we have taken. Let's run through what this does, because I'm trying to simplify it, because obviously it's It's a technical matter and a legal matter. And of course, based on the speaking time today, you don't really get a chance to flesh it out so that the average person sitting in their living room will understand it tonight. So doing nothing is not an option. Without reform, the situation is only going to get worse. Reform has not been possible until now because of the flawed arrangements put in by the previous administration. And until these flaws are sorted and new arrangements locked in, we're not going to get in anywhere. The bottom line is that the license, despite the fact, the current license, despite the fact that we have introduced renewables, LNG, solar, etc., the arrangements still have led to high prices despite that. And in some cases, as we have seen, poor service, and especially now with climate change, little resilience, which we saw last year in Beryl. So the reform is intended to lower prices, improve security of supply, and reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels. Because Jamaica is now in a strong fiscal position as a result of the work that we have done over the last 9 years and previous, the government has, without a doubt, or Jamaica, I should say, has very, very, very impressive investor confidence, local and overseas.
Stick up in right there, Minister. Stick up in because that's what I was looking for in the answer. Of course, I appreciate everything else that you said, but I want to lock in.
I'm not talking to you, because you're intellect. I'm talking to the people like me who don't just have to simplify it and explain it.
Fine. I will have time for it, and that's why I didn't trouble you when you were talking about that, because that's very important. But here's the thing now. Okay. I just want to zero in on this. I want to lock it in for the same people you're talking to.
Yes.
The previous go-around where negotiation of license was concerned with JPS, what is it that has put this government in the position to be able to take this bold step when the previous time when the license was being sorted out, that government was not in that position then? What would you identify as the big difference?
Well, the truth of the matter is the international recognition that Jamaica has got in terms of its fiscal prudence over the last few years. So much so that Jamaica is actually the poster country for COVID and post-COVID. There's no two ways about that. So there's a lot of interest in investing in Jamaica, which may not have been there at that time based on different policies and different outcomes. So that gives me quite a bit of confidence to know that my options are open. And if I need to go to that option, then I am sure and confident that the response will be good. But aside and apart from that, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And the bottom line is, somebody has to bail the cat. And I am the man on the bridge, and my administration is the administration in office. And the fact of the matter is that we have taken the decision in the best interest of the people and the country at all levels. And I know that I'm in a high-stakes game. But as you know, in business, you got to roll the dice sometimes.
Yeah. The country's leading private sector interests, Minister, you would be aware by now, despite your busy day, have issued a joint statement, the Chamber of Commerce, the PSOJ, and the Manufacturers and Exporters Association, to endorse your announcement, even as they outline certain things that they would like to see in a new arrangement, regardless of who that new arrangement with. Before you made the announcement today, what was the vibe you were picking up from the private sector about possible changes to the supply arrangement where electricity is concerned?
So this has been a recurrent discussion with the private sector from years prior to me becoming minister in 2020, long before, because there's a level of frustration because they want to invest, they want to do well, and it's one thing that's stifling them, and it's the cost of electricity. So it's a long-standing issue. So I'm not surprised at how they have come out because this has been long in coming for them. And the fact of the matter is that the stars have aligned in terms of the fact that the license notice in July 25 and the license notice terminate the expiry in 2027
Yes.
is the fact that we are the government of the day and I'm the minister that's prepared to push,
Yes,
as I have done before with Beryl and with whatever else,
yes,
in the interest of Jamaica.
Let me take the break right now, Minister. Prepare yourself after the break to answer the question of what you identify as the flaws in the current arrangement as negotiated and signed by the previous administration of the People's National Party. More on Lead Story after these. Daryl Vaz talking big energy and what he hopes to do where the supplier of electricity for the country is concerned when the JPS license runs its course in 2027.
Rise with sunrise, Mighty takes July by storm. We begin with some sweet gospel melodies in Wednesday service. John Mark Wigan joins us live. Then it's over to the kitchen for a sweet mix. We're taking a break with some summer mocktails. We'll pair your mocktail with a good read in Sunrise Book Club. And your Wednesday fun wraps up in Wags, brought to you by TruePet. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi, brought to you by Grace and Singer.
The Energy Minister, Daryl Wesley Vaz, says the electricity, all-island electricity contract that the JPS has, an exclusive one, is lopsided, with the Jamaican people not benefiting in the best way. And he says this JLP administration is keen to change the arrangements when the license expires in 2027 to secure a better deal for all concerned persons who are in business and, of course, residents who use electricity for day-to-day considerations. And he has given notice today that the new deal will have to look different from the existing deal, or else the government is willing to walk away and seek after a new electricity supplier. He's on with me this evening. He's on Zoom, and he's joining me consequent upon his announcement at Jamaica House earlier on this Tuesday. Minister, you said at the press conference today, and you repeated here, that the current deal is flawed, and you make the point, of course, that this deal is the work of a PNP administration. What are the flaws in this deal?
So let me just state clearly that you have the license and you have the licensee. I don't blame the licensee for whatever deal they could negotiate. Who I blame is the previous administration, because when you look at the license, it is in favor of the licensee in almost every instance. And I'm going to come back to something again on this matter. So the fact of the matter, it does not allow us as a country, and it does not allow private sector investments in renewables to move at the pace and the restrictions that are on that. Particularly, I'll give you a simple example, special economic zone hasn't been able to do and realize the true potential because of electricity costs, which they have to take from JPS. They cannot be a sole provider. And the bottom line is that the license itself is heavily in favor of the licensee. And therefore, that puts a protection mechanism in relation to almost every aspect of what the government and the private sector would like to do to be able to improve their efficiency and reduce the cost of electricity. Secondly, the JPS, as you know, there's a thing called technical losses. And a lot of the technical losses arises from the theft of electricity. That is passed through to the customer. So if it goes up and up and up, it's a pass-through, and the cost of electricity gets more and more expensive. So they are covered in that regard as well. The one that really gets me is, and to just give you an example so that the people listening can understand, I'm viewing can understand. You have an emergency development fund that is governed by the OUR, who has oversight for the telcos and the utilities operations. That is funded on every bill that is generated by JPS to the customers. As of December 2024, it had about $46 million of taxpayers' money. After Beryl, JPS put in a claim for $26 million United States dollars for the recovery of their assets that were damaged in Beryl. They got it whether it took them a month, 2 months, or 6 months to restore electricity. No timelines. And the consumer of the JPS does not have the right to 1 cent of that money, regardless of the damage that they experienced in the hurricane, their livelihoods, their businesses, no provision. You tell me that you are paying for something on a monthly basis, and the only person that can benefit from that fund is a licensee?
Yeah.
No, man.
You know, so Minister, a lady said to me once, in her frustration after Beryl, that the hurricane breeze blew down the pole, damaged her perimeter wall. Put in a claim, the JPS says, well, it's an act of God, we can't fix your wall, despite the wall being extensively damaged. And she says she felt aggrieved because she knows that there was some facility that existed, that pole being blown down, JPS gets compensation for the pole being blown down. So how come the pole being blown down damages her wall, and the company that is said to benefit from the pole being blown down does not compensate her from the same pole damaging her wall? So it feeds into what you are saying.
Let's go one step further. And viewers all around Jamaica who are watching can tell you that despite power surges, anything that is caused by the JPS fluctuation in power that burns up fridges, air condition, fan, anything, and the process and procedure to claim and get justice is almost impossible, because the system that you have to go through, and at the end of the day, it is the JPS that decides and says whose fault it is. Therefore, the payouts and the suffering and the damage that I have had personally over the years as a customer, and so many others, it is just inequitable and it's just unjust. And all of that, because the fact of the matter, it's not the ministry and the government that provides oversight for the telcos and the utilities, It is the Office of Utilities Regulation.
Yes.
And that also has to be overhauled in all of this, because the fact of the matter is that there's not many Daryl Vases that's going to take on JPS during Beryl, despite the fact that he doesn't have the ministerial power.
Yes. Hold it right there, Minister, because that you answered the question I was going to ask. If in contemplating a new dawn for electricity supply, if the powers of the regulator and the role of the regulator and the role of the minister, if those would have to change to reflect the new reality.
150%.
Coming back to you after the break, though, I'm going to keep you for 6 more minutes if you have the time after this break. Let's take the next break and come right back. This is Lead Story Prime. The Energy Minister is in the house.
business loan with small business loans with as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million.
The time is 8:30.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
The government has made its intention clear where the new electricity supply license is concerned. The JPS's license expires in 2 years. As required under the current license, the government is required to serve notice 2 years ahead of the expiration of the license what they intend to do. And the intention from the government is to negotiate and sign a deal that is markedly different from the current arrangement. The energy minister says the current one does not serve the Jamaican people best of all, and it is the JPS that derives a greater advantage from the deal as it currently is structured. Minister, the JPS responded to your statement earlier today to tell the public that in its words, it is gravely concerned by your announcement and the intention of the government, and that it sees the statement having significant legal implications. Your reaction to this public position of the JPS?
As I said before, this is all about the government negotiating a better license. I have nothing against the licensee. What I can say is that the fact of the, should I say, shock that has run through Jamaica today, because some people are still in disbelief. But for the JPS and all of the other energy players, they would have been very aware of the timelines and the decisions that government had to make. So this didn't fall out of the sky or come about last week. This has been in motion and it's stipulated in the license in terms of the timelines. So I'm not quite sure if they thought that it was going to be business as usual, because it has been business as usual for so long. But the fact of the matter is that the feedback that I'm getting from the public is that a lot of them are in disbelief that the government could be take such a strong position. But for me, from where I sit, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
absolute no-brainer. But let me just say to you two things. One, there's a well-known saying, or a well-known quote: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Yes? So it would be insanity to believe we could get different results doing the same thing. The government's goals from taking this action are very simple. The government aims to create a new framework for the electricity industry, which will, 1, reduce prices, 2, improve security of supply, and increase renewables, which is what we are not able to do at this point. Yes? The government will seek to agree to this framework through conversations that will be ongoing with the JPS and whoever else. I don't want to go ahead of myself because I still have to wait on a response from JPS.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that the process is not prejudicial.
Yes.
And we follow exactly the legal timelines.
I'm out of time. Last thing to throw at you before I go. I'm out of time. The Dominican Republic and TNT, they pay, we're being told, between 12 and 15 US cents per kilowatt hour for electricity. Here in Jamaica, we're paying as much as 40 US cents. Do you see a new deal, whether with JPS or somebody else, in 2 years' time and beyond, giving us the kind of rates that our competitors in CARICOM and CARIFORM are enjoying?
Absolutely, and I would expect nothing less. And if the Jamaican people continue to have confidence in me and my government, we will deliver that. We have taken the bold step that others would not take for whatever reason, and I'm giving a commitment to the people of Jamaica tonight that this is a game changer that is not only for us to enjoy after the next 2 years, but this is for generations to come. This is going to change and finally put Jamaica in a position where the thing that has been holding us down for so long is remedied. And once that happens, Jamaica will take off and achieve its true potential to allow for the people of Jamaica, for no one in Jamaica to be poor.
Hear you on that. Thank you for your time this evening, Minister. All the best.
All right. God bless you all.
Good. Daryl Wesley Vaz there. He's the Minister of Energy. So we're going to make a connection with the opposition spokesman on energy, Philip Paulwell. I'm just here looking for that statement sent earlier this afternoon by those 3 private sector entities. It makes for good reading. Before we do that, though, let's share this.
In an official statement posted to the JPS website, the energy monopoly said it will review the matter internally. JPS sought to assure customers that the company remains committed to delivering reliable and cost-effective power. JPS CEO Hugh Grant warned that the development has several implications for the energy sector and for the country in general. He did not go into details. However, he said the JPS leadership, stakeholders, and legal teams will review the implications while engaging key stakeholders. The opposition said that the move is too little too late. Opposition spokesperson Philip Paulwell accused the government of failing to plan ahead, ignoring calls for reform since 2023.
After 9 years in office, the government is only now waking up to the reality that the high cost of electricity is strangling growth. For over 2 years, I have urged the minister to begin the process and make clear its intention about the JPS license and the future of the energy industry in Jamaica. Meanwhile, the government has abandoned the Energy Council, which was designed to help shape policy in the energy industry. Instead, they now rush to outsource advice from international experts instead of consulting with local stakeholders.
Meanwhile, the private sector, including the PSOJ, JMEA, and JCC, has welcomed the move. In a joint statement, the group said the current system is broken and reform is essential to lower costs and encourage investment. Negotiations are expected to intensify in the coming months as stakeholders await the next steps. Raymond Morrison, CVM News.
Thank you, Raymond. Well, that has given us time to make the connection with the opposition spokesman on energy, Philip Paulwell, the former portfolio minister. Good evening, Minister. Good evening. I do this all the time when I talk to you. Good evening, Mr. Paulwell.
That's okay. Good evening to you and to your viewers.
You're the one member of the opposition. Every time I speak, I have to tell myself, don't say Minister Paulwell. I'm used to saying that. Here we go. So, Philip Paulwell, you said in your statement today, in your response, you said, look, this should have been communicated earlier. Am I getting the essence of what your intention was in that statement?
Not really. In my sectoral budget presentation in 2023, I alerted the government to the reality of the 2027 end of license period for JPSCO and reminded them that by July 8, 2025, you will have to indicate specifically your intention. But I wanted to have encouraged the government to start preparing for negotiations even from them. And I said to them that you could even in 2023 use the fact of the termination of the license as leverage from now to get certain things amended even before you got to the hard negotiations. Anyway, we are where we're at now, but again, I'm very concerned because it appears as if the JPSCO's interpretation of what the minister sent to them today is different from what I thought was being communicated by the minister. It appears as if the interpretation is that the government has decided to cancel the license and to reacquire the business of the licensee, and they have given them notice to that effect. I am not too sure what the intention was. My point has always been that we have to ensure that the current license is modified substantially, because the situation that obtained in 2001 no longer obtains now. And I did put on the table in May, when I made my presentation, specific recommendations as to areas that should be modified.
Yeah. Before you get there, though, Philip Paul, I just want to read the minister's statement today. He says, an alternative would have been to attempt to renew existing license on its current terms, which would risk maintaining the flawed status quo entered into by the former administration and put Jamaica at a distinct disadvantage. He says, the government of Jamaica does not believe pursuing such a path is either appropriate or viable at this time. And he said, the government has no intention of retaking the business of JPS. I too, like you, my eyebrows raised when I saw the statement from JPS, from Hugh Grant, because I said, you are gravely concerned that the government is giving you notice as per the text of the license, because it does require under law the government to give you the notice that has been served 2 years ahead of the expiration of the license. So I, like you, wondered if there was a misinterpretation by the JPS about what the minister actually said today.
Yes, and in fact, when I was in my office and got the first news from the news media, the first news was that government will no longer, the JPS will no longer be operating on the license. And I believe it is important for the minister to be unequivocal about this matter.
But I believe he was. I just think that the JPS's interpretation caused me to wonder if indeed that was the case. But be that as it may, I want to talk about the substantive issues. I want to touch very much on what you said in your sectoral presentation, because I think that offers us a way forward. Before we get there, though, I want you to defend the accusation that your administration, of course, you as the minister, the man in charge, that you tied Jamaica under a badly negotiated deal with the JPS, sufficient for this government to want to take us away from that for the new contract cycle.
All right, well, let me just be clear. The license was not signed by me because I was not the minister at the time. But I have to concede that it was signed by an administration of which I was a part. So we're very clear about that. And the point is, in 2001, the government of the day, I took a calculated decision because it was unable at that time to provide the requisite investment into the company. We were having serial power cuts, and it was necessary for us to turn to the private sector to realize the requisite development, the investment to install new capacity, to update the lines and so on and so forth. And at that time, you could not proceed with getting investment in this sector without granting a long-term license. All of those things, I believe, are irrelevant today. And that's why I have been, since 2023, indicating to the government the absolute necessity to enter into new arrangements. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is, to modify the license so that these new realities can be dealt with, and that we can see improvements in the supply and distribution of electricity in
Stick
Jamaica.
up in. I have to take a time signal, Philip Paul. After these, we resume the conversation. This is Lead Story Prime.
Jamaica's borders is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time brought to you by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
8:45.
Come rise with sunrise. Tamighty takes July by storm. We begin with some sweet gospel melodies in Wednesday service. John Mark Wigan joins us live. Then it's over to the kitchen for a sweet mix. We're taking a break with some summer mocktails. We'll pair your mocktail with a good read in Sunrise Book Club. And your Wednesday fun wraps up in Wags, brought to you by TruePet. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Welcome back to Lead Story Prime, talking about the announcement by the government today that it will not sign a new all-Ireland electricity supply contract with anybody under the terms of the current arrangement with the JPS. The government says the JPS is welcome to offer itself to continue in its role as the exclusive electricity supplier, but not under the terms that it has been doing for the past 20 years. The Energy Minister, Daryl Vaz, blamed the previous PNP administration for signing and tying Jamaica into a bad deal. The opposition spokesman on energy, Philip Paul, says, look, the playing field was different. That PNP administration wasn't dealing with the same set of cards that this government is dealing with. The environment was different. And so we went into an arrangement which was the best that could be done at the time. But now conditions being so different, he says the government could have used leverage to secure changes even before the expiration of this current deal to benefit the Jamaican people, even as it sets itself up for new negotiations which will bring into play a new and better deal for all concerned. That's pretty much what he has said. He's with me now. Philip Paulwell, I wanted to talk about your sectoral presentation and your vision for not a new JPS, but about electricity supply going forward. Beyond 2027, what is it that you told the Jamaican people would be necessary for the energy price to be dragged right down to competitive levels?
Right, because unlike the minister's position where he is trying to blame everything on the license, the reality is that you have to inject policy, notwithstanding the license. And we were able, in the period between 2012 to 2016, effect radical changes in the fuel sources. For example, when we left office, the price of electricity was about 25 US cents per kilowatt hour. Today, when you check your bill, it's between 40 and 50 cents sometimes. So we have seen in the period with the same license, dramatic increase in the price of electricity. And a lot of that has been due to neglect of this government. So the work that we had done, which was to do the transformation, changing out the heavy fuel oil and diesel from about 90% of the generated fuel source to, by 2016, 60% natural gas, 12.5% renewables, and the rest in the traditional fuels. The government should have continued in that vein, but nothing really has happened in that time. So let me share with you the vision that I have for the future. Firstly, we have to get electricity theft down. Today, when you pay your electricity bill, 20% of that bill is not because of what you use, but because of other persons who, from poor communities who can't afford the high price of electricity, who steal electricity. We have to solve that problem, and it's over 200,000, almost 300,000 households. And I have put in Parliament a position which to date, after 3 years, not yet debated, which is to use the revolution that has taken place in solar technology to establish mini grids and to use that to fulfill the needs of those 250 to 300,000 households. And I know it sounds simple, and really it is once you can find the source of funding for that. We already have in place a hedge fund that we have misused, and there are also other sources of green energy fund available that will recognize the value of moving away from people stealing electricity using fossil fuel and to provide them with free electricity using renewable energy. There's funding for that. So that is one limb that we have to deal with. Then you have the opportunity now that exists for Jamaicans to be responsible for their own destiny, as it were, to put power in their hands. So we recognize again the importance of solar energy. There was a time when solar, like all renewables, were not reliable because the sun goes down after sunset. But you do now have, with the phenomenon of storage, batteries. The fact is that the price of batteries have come down remarkably. The technology has improved tremendously. So today you can provide 24/7 electricity from solar. And we believe that you have to go to large-scale solar procurement for that, but you also have the opportunity where rooftop solar. So the individuals now who are able to provide their own electricity and have additional capacity, you now have to incentivize them to be able to do that, and that additional capacity to be added to the grid.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. If someone said to me, Philip Paulwell, condense what Philip is essentially saying on the position. And I say to them, well, what Philip Paulwell is saying is that he's welcoming the decision to treat with the license renewal in this way. But he's saying that without the right policy environment, the changes that will accrue by virtue of the license being different will not really benefit the Jamaican people the way intended. The policy environment has to be right, and this government has not done enough where the policy environment is concerned. Would I be correct?
You articulate better than me, but that is precisely the point I am making. And really, if you think about it, we have seen recently a procurement going out for 100 megawatts of electricity. 2 companies bid, and they won 50 megawatts each. Each of those came in under 10 US cents per kilowatt hour. When I did it in 2013, the lowest price we got was about 19 US cents per kilowatt hour.
Yes.
That is reflecting the dramatic change in solar technology and why this government was wasting time, because as I mentioned earlier, when we left, the contribution of renewables was 12.5%.
Yes.
Today, it remains at 12.5%. We should be way over 20%, heading towards 30% renewable.
Yes.
So that is a major plank
Yes.
of our policy going forward.
For those who don't know, Philip, and who are wondering, the market, the state of the market in terms of companies in a position to provide the JPS kind of service to the Jamaican people where energy supply is concerned. How big is that market? Are there players who would be standing by under the right conditions to enter the fray to seek to replace JPS? How strong is that market? Are there many companies poised to be able to do that?
Well, just remember, let me just define and describe for you the JPSCO market, because JPSCO both generate electricity, so they are a generator, but very importantly, they do have this exclusive control over the grid.
Yes.
So they control the transmission lines and the distribution lines. So in that regard, I can say very clearly that on the generation side, there are people who will jump to Jamaica, here, because they will be able to get a license and pretty much guarantee them a rate of return. On the generation side, it is on the operation of the grid that you might find it more challenging. But I believe that if JPS were to walk away, yes, I believe that you'll be able to get people who would be quite willing to replace them, but it's not as easy as on the generation side.
Happy you said that, because a lot of people were pondering about that as they discussed the issue. Philip, all of them out of time. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much. And we look forward to this continuing conversation as we seek to get the best deal for the Jamaican people, businesses and residential users like us.
Thank you very much.
Although you've been off the grid for a long time. You keep telling me that it's been a long time now you haven't paid JPS anything.
No, actually, I in my business where I operate, I'm just now installing solar, so I'm paying. I've been a JPS customer on the domestic side. My batteries are not. I need to put in new batteries now because after 9 o'clock, my system goes. So I need to replace them with new batteries so that I can be independent of the grid. Totally.
Excellent. Thank you for your time. All the best.
Thanks.
Philip Paula there, the opposition spokesman on energy. Fan Central is up next, and they have big interview lined up. You have to watch to see.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi, brought to you by Grace and Singer.
Section. Is it front left puncture, was it? Or rear left?
Rear left. I think he's got front left suspension damage as well or something, hasn't he? It doesn't look like it's completely square.
That's frustrating. Yeah. Well, he got tagged and he went twice. We're going to try and take a look at it in a minute once he's crossed the line. Here comes Fraser. Unfortunately, that's...